The next time you fly American Airlines, the crew might ask you to shut your laptop, put your phone away, and lock that tray table up earlier than you're used to. And at first, it honestly feels like the airline just put you in timeout. Here's what changed. As of June 3rd, 2026, American, one of the biggest airlines on Earth, changed a key part of its landing routine. Now the cabin starts getting locked down at 18,000 feet instead of closer to 10. To you, that's maybe 5 precious minutes of scrolling, gone. And sure enough, people online are losing it, convinced the airlines are just finding new ways to make flying more miserable. But it turns out the real reason has almost nothing to do with annoying you. It has everything to do with a hidden danger up in the sky. So before you groan at that seatbelt sign clicking on early, let me show you what's actually happening at 18,000 feet. Start with the part nobody puts in the announcement. There's a kind of turbulence called clear air turbulence. No storms, no clouds, completely invisible on the radar. 1 second you're gliding along, smooth as glass, and the next, the floor just drops. And because of a warming atmosphere, these invisible drops are happening way more often than they used to. Now here's where it stops being abstract. The National Transportation Safety Board studied nearly a decade of accident data from 2009 through 2018, and they found that turbulence was behind more than 1/3 of all serious accidents on major U.S. airlines in that entire stretch. But here's the part that matters. Nearly 80% of the people seriously hurt weren't passengers. They were flight attendants. Because when the air goes rough, you're belted into your seat, they're on their feet, pushing a cart, grabbing your trash. And one more number, because it's the one that explains this whole rule. More than 60% of turbulence-related accidents during descent happen below 20,000 feet on the way down, which is exactly the window where the old rule still had flight attendants standing in the aisle. Now, let me tell you about the flight that turned all of this from a statistic into a policy. February 2024, a United 777, Los Angeles to Newark, descending through 21,000 feet. Completely normal flight. 3 minutes earlier, another plane in that same sky had radioed in turbulence, but the controller never passed the warning along, so the crew had no idea what was coming. Then the plane dropped. In seconds, people were thrown into the ceiling. One flight attendant blacked out, came down onto a beverage cart, and hit the floor hard enough to shatter her femur and crush her spine. 2 more crew were seriously hurt. And here's the detail I can't get out of my head. Even after all of that, broken, bleeding, some of them barely conscious, those flight attendants crawled back to their jump seats and tried to cover their assigned doors so the plane could land safely. That's what the airline means by safety. That's what those 8,000 feet are buying. But here's where it gets complicated, because the exact same rule that protects them takes something from you. So what changes for you in seat 14C? Everything just moves earlier. Depending on how the plane comes down, the cabin gets locked up roughly 4 to 8 minutes sooner than before. Seatbelt sign on, tray table up, laptop away, even the glassware gets pulled from the cabin before you've finished your drink. And you're basically stuck in that seat a little longer. No getting up, no quick trip to the restroom, no stretching out. For most people, that's a shrug. For the road warriors, the ones flying 4 or 5 times a week, treating the descent as their last block of work time, it stings. You probably saw the headline that went around, "Fly that often, and you're supposedly losing up to 15 minutes of work on every flight, an hour a week, gone forever." Except, and this is worth being honest about, that number is mostly clickbait. On a normal descent, dropping from 18,000 feet to 10 takes about 4 minutes, not 15. So here's the real math. You get to send maybe 2 more emails. In exchange, the person who just handed you your coffee gets to keep her spine intact. Suddenly, those 2 emails don't feel that urgent, do they? Which is what makes the next part strange. Because American didn't invent this rule. It announced something 4 other airlines had already quietly done, and somehow, American is the one that set off a fight. And that's where the story stops being just about safety and starts becoming about trust. First, the reaction wasn't what the angry headlines suggest. Most of the people who actually do this job were relieved. One flight attendant said she'd been through 14 surgeries in 10 years from a single turbulence injury, and asked how anyone could question a rule meant to stop that from happening to the next person. Plenty of frequent flyers agreed too. So if the public is mostly on board, why did American become the lightning rod? First, American wasn't early, it was late. United did this back in 2023. Southwest, Delta, all already on board. JetBlue announced its version for the exact same June 3rd date. American just happened to be the one that made the news cycle. But American has a massive base of business travelers and frequent flyers. And that's the loudest, most online crowd there is, the exact people losing those last few minutes. So when American did it, the backlash didn't stay small. It landed exactly where travel outrage lives: frequent flyer forums, Reddit threads, and comment sections. Then there's the cynical theory that keeps coming up. Maybe safety is also a convenient way to trim service on shorter flights. Fewer drinks poured, less time in the aisle, fewer chances for injuries or claims. Is that the whole story? No. But is it convenient for the airline? Absolutely. But here's the tell. Unlike Southwest, which actually dropped service on its shortest flights, American says it expects crews to deliver the same level of service in less time. Whether that's even physically possible on a tight descent is an open question, and it might be the thing that quietly changes next. So you can hold both ideas at once. The safety reason is real. The business upside is real too. That does not make the rule fake. It just means the same rule can protect people and still be very convenient for the airline. If you fly American, and let's be clear, this is the whole industry now, not just them, here's how you can start flying so this barely touches you. Simple. The descent window is officially dead. If you actually need your laptop, do it in the first hour. The moment you hear the pilot announce the descent, that's your cue. Don't wait for the 18,000-foot chime. Pack the laptop, grab your phone, and if you need the restroom, go right then. Because once the plane hits that invisible line at 18,000 feet, the clock is ticking, and your inbox won't be a good enough reason to reopen the cabin. And load up your phone with stuff you can keep in your lap. Download a podcast, save a playlist offline, bring an actual paperback or a Kindle. Those don't get taken away. One more, and this one's underrated. Pull up the American app before you fly. It won't tell you the exact 18,000-foot moment, but it can help you sense when arrival is getting close and get ahead of the shutdown instead of getting caught flat-footed by it. And honestly, the most important habit costs nothing. When that seatbelt sign comes on, just leave it on, even when the air feels like glass. Remember the United crew? Several of them said it felt like light or no turbulence, right up until the second the plane dropped. Smooth air is exactly when the dangerous stuff hides. Next time you're on a flight and you hear that double chime earlier than usual, you'll know it's not an airline trying to annoy you. It's about those 4 critical minutes that decide whether the crew walks off the plane or gets carried off. But I want to know what you think. Is this purely about keeping people safe, or is it a convenient excuse for airlines to cut back on service and save a buck? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this changed how you look at that seatbelt sign, hit subscribe. I make a lot of videos like this one, all about the small things that quietly make your time in the air smoother, safer, and a whole lot more comfortable. Stick around. Your next descent might feel a little less annoying once you know what's really at stake.